what have we seen in terms of what's worked well, but then also what are we seeing in SSN where they're being a little bit exploited, and then what do we have that can exploit that?
I'm really passionate about netball.
Hello and welcome back to Here If You Need, your netball podcast with myself, Emily Wilson, and alongside me as always, it's Nia Jones. Hi Nia, how are you? How are you recovering after the grand final?
I thought you were going to say, how am I recovering after my minor finger injury? Which I was going to say, very well. Sorry for anybody watching at home. It's airing today and it needs it. So, yeah.
You need to explain how you did it because...
No. Do you know what? This was such a girly problem and I'm willing to be honest about how it occurred. So I was dashing around looking for a tampon. Okay, and I was like, they weren't in the usual drawer, and I thought I will have shoved them in bags somewhere because when I'm living out of bags at the minute, like dashing to different things. So I was in a bit of a rush and I was like trying to grab one, found a suitcase, there's a little zip pocket on my little suitcase. So I went to pull the zip and it got stuck. So I was like, for God's sake, like yanked it. It wasn't the zip that was stuck, Emily. It was my finger was stuck inside the pocket on a razor blade. So such a girl problem. Looking for a tampon, did it on a razor and genuinely sliced the end of my finger off. It bled a lot. It was all over the bathroom floor, all over the sink. I freaked out. I was on my way to Tesco as well and I had to cancel that trip.
Understandable.
I think I might have got Deliveroo. Totally understandable. Couldn't drive. And obviously it's in a really awkward place. Very prone to infections. So ChatGPT told me. So it taught me how to strap it and wrap it up. But Saturday morning was the first time that I did it Thursday evening and I changed it Saturday morning before the grand final, which apparently was not good. And I don't want to, this is a trigger warning now, but it was so gross when I took it off. I could smell it. Yeah. What? No, I'm sorry. And I was terrified it was infected. So wrapped it up again for the grand final. It overshadowed any, cheesy picture that we tried to have on an amazing court. But listen, it's airing well, it's healing well, it's scabbed over.
You don't have to keep showing it to us.
Sorry, we live to tell the tale. So anyway, how did you enjoy the grand final with all 10 digits intact?
I also just want to say, in case no one did see, it was literally like, I feel like it was wrapped up like they do on Pingu. Do you remember Pingu?
Yeah, like, proper cartoon.
Yeah.
Or Tom and Jerry with a big lump. Yeah.
And then you decided to take it off and show me, which really...
Did I? No, I showed you a video, didn't I?
Oh, I can't remember, but
I wouldn't have taken it off, trust me. That dressing, all three components of my dressing were expensive. So anyway, let's talk about the netty.
The netball was great. It was an awesome event. And yeah, very grateful that I got to go and sit with the media people, sat with loads of other podcasters. And yeah, we're very grateful. Now, let's just quickly rewind a bit to our interview last week with Claire Nelson. And I just want to say, Nia, congratulations, because I feel like you're going to maybe become an advertising executive after your excellent work on the Soft and Gentle sponsorship. It's really been taken on board and run with. So for those of you who missed it, which I don't think is many of you, Nia came up with this fantastic idea. You can do the tagline, Nia.
No, but I think context is important, right? I think I've actually given you more of a description of how they should have broken down the advert for it when we weren't recording. Yeah. I don't think that the full version has ever gone out on an edited podcast. But basically, yeah, we tried to pitch to Claire Nelson that like Soft and Gentle is quite a feminine looking brand. Not that there's anything wrong with feminine qualities, but that's the polar opposite of how we play our sport. We don't play softly and we don't play gently. And I asked Claire, could we play on that more with how we use this amazing partnership and sort of like we wear soft and gentle, but we don't play like it. Now I've given you a description of how I would run that advert off camera, so you can't ever prove it in front of, Dragon's Den. But another podcaster that we met, and it was really cool to meet loads of the others. We saw the best netball podcast ever. Those guys were lovely. Yep. We met Claire Loves Netball, which I was a bit starstruck because she comes up on my TikTok so much that seeing her in real life was a little bit weird. And you said she's taller than you thought.
Yeah, so much taller than I thought.
You need to sign her up for your netball team. You need a goalkeeper, you said.
She's a goal shooter, I thought. Well, no, she is a goalkeeper, but she's actually quite good at shooting.
I've seen her taking backline passes. think?
No, I think she
In a
does both.
fancy
I think
trainers?
she's one of those goal shooter, goalkeeper.
Hybrid. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but she's in Devon.
Oh,
She's down
okay.
in Devon. Big travels for Claire.
Do you know what
Anyway.
though? Whenever I speak to Aussie athletes, driving 4 hours to training in the car is absolutely nothing to them. So if she doesn't join the Demonettes, I'll be disappointed, even just for one game. But we also met
Come
Annie
on, Claire.
Tomlinson,
Yeah.
who has given a brilliant visual description of how Soft and Gentle could market themselves with netball. Because I was just, it's just all we've seen so far is like the fact that we've got England netballers who are ambassadors on the cans, which again, like these partners are coming in and they're sponsoring both the NSL and England netball. And that's what you're trying to get out of Claire Nelson a little bit. Like, is being in partnership sometimes taken away from, can you just sponsor this league and give all you can to this league? But still, they're dressed in their dresses and they're posing like nice, well-behaved ladies on the front of the can, rather than like playing on it more
as the strong athletes that they are.
Yeah.
But anyway, Soft and Gentle have commented and have talked about how they are going to storyboard it up. So I'm just hoping that you're going to be like the creative director on the shoot.
They can have it. Listen, I'm not going to take credit for that idea, but I'm just glad it's happening.
Well, you should.
And if this podcast helps lobby some other things as well. But yeah, we've had a lot of reaction from that interview, as we do with a lot of our guests. We love seeing the positive comments of questions and answers that you enjoyed. And we also love seeing you want a little bit more from either us or from our guests as well. And I think it's stirred discussion, which is good. But you, especially in your role as bad cop, publicly, just well done, because it's not easy when you're doing an interview online, and we only have a certain amount of time. But I thought, you pushed in the right areas really well. So
Well, I actually think fair play to Claire as well for coming on. I just want to say that she did answer some of what she could, and I just hope that going forward we get the answers as they need to come, rather than us having to do an hour-long interview with her. And getting everything out at the same time.
Yeah, and just knowing that we're all in this together, like fans wouldn't have a sport to support without people like Claire and the players and the clubs, but also they wouldn't exist and the growth wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the diehard fans who are spending their hard-earned money engaging with it and following it and supporting it. So it needs to be more of a one group mission, if you like. But also, you're talking about me. We can't prove this either, but you did in one of your questions, which needs more context. You said to Claire, we would love to see more netball on that day. Could we have a third, fourth place playoff? When we debated, whether fans want that or players want that. What I would love to see, and you've agreed, is a next gen final. I think that would be amazing, because some people want to buy a ticket and just watch more netball. Not everybody is into sportainment and wants to go to a food truck and wants to go and throw a squishy netball at a big dartboard. Some people just want more netball. And that's why you said, is it a long way to go and a lot of money to spend for just a netball game? We're not some bloke in the pub saying, oh, what you putting a grand final on? It's just another netball game. So I think that quote did come from you, or you did mention it to Claire, and it has been used by Claire and by other creators as almost a negative thing, but you were asking it in a positive way.
I was, and I still stick by it. As good as the day was, and it was incredible, fair play. Like, the venue was awesome. There was loads going on. I actually didn't do many of the activations because I was trying to find poor Super League players to ask them some silly questions. But it was a vibe, and there were people everywhere. I loved all of it, and I totally understand what she was saying about the sportainment. However, I almost think that you're so like hyped from all that stuff that when you come down and sit down for the netball match and it starts, it's like halfway through I was like, oh my god, we're halfway through. It feels like we've just sat down and watched netball, and like I just think another match would really help, and not everyone will go and watch it. And
you don't have to do anywhere near the same level of production or walkout or anything. But yeah, maybe one for the future, because they did say that they had discussed it at least.
Yeah, and they do say that they listen to feedback, so that would be my feedback. But I mean, let's talk about the positive bits of the event. I managed to sort of sneak in accidentally to the VIP bit.
You mean you weren't given access to there?
I wasn't given. I don't know if I was supposed to or not. I think we snuck in. But
good on you. Were there free drinks, free snacks?
I don't know if it was free. We weren't there for very long, but it did look fun. Like, if you
What do you
guys
mean you don't know
can-
if it was free? So did you pick up stuff and eat it and drink it and didn't pay and are hoping it was free, or did you just not engage with
No,
the
we didn't engage.
refreshments?
We were just like
Right.
looking for people. We were looking for players
Right.
to ask, "What's your favorite condiment?" That video is coming soon.
Great.
Hardcore journalism.
What's yours?
Mayonnaise. Maybe garlic mayonnaise, but
Or
because it's more
Peronaise.
versatile.
Peronaise.
Yeah. A lot of
I do
ketchups.
like barbecue. I do like barbecue.
Okay. Well, you see, big debates here
Yeah.
on here if you need.
Yeah.
Back to the netball. There was a lot going on. I've only really seen very positive things about it. The talks were good. And let's talk about that walkout when they first came out. Whew. I had goosebumps. It was huge. It was so exciting. They really did put the show on. You had tears in your eyes at some points, Nia, apparently?
I had tears in my eyes. It was a very full on immersive experience for me. So I had tears in my eyes when Lucy Goodman was interviewing the Fawns family.
Yeah.
So Rod, I think, was the granddad and Greig was the dad. I just loved that interview. I thought it was amazing, the story. And then again, when she embraced him at the end, I don't know what was wrong with me. Maybe from my injury, feeling a little bit...
Well, no, it was also just quite
sensitive.
emotional. You can admit to being emotional.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not doing a Tracy Beaker like I've got a bit of hay fever sort of thing. But genuinely, the walkout is one of the best netball walkouts I can remember. And I don't know if it was the same for people watching at home, but it was the in-arena stuff. Like, I genuinely, my hairs were standing up. I had goosebumps all over. Just the way that, the remixes of the music. I think it was Run This Town by Rihanna, wasn't it? Like a really cool mix of it. And then the vision of Zara Everett and Amy Carter standing. I loved that, seeing them in the tunnel, in the darkness. The build-up was perfect. Yeah, I thought it was unbelievable. And I personally liked that they climbed up into the crowd for the trophy lift. I know it wasn't for everybody because some people couldn't see it. So maybe it needed to be on a higher tier, but I don't know how logistically doable that is. But it gave me Wembley vibes, iconic Wembley vibes. But you disagree.
Yeah, I disagree. I was sitting on the opposite side, and I could see it, but it was so far away you can't see anything. So you're watching on the screen.
Yeah.
I just felt like it was happening really far away from me. So you lost the atmosphere of the excitement, and it would have been great for the probably VIPs that were sitting around them.
Was it being narrated in the arena as well? Were they describing what was happening and announced thunder?
Yes,
I think it was. But it's difficult because we've got the program on in our ears. So
it was, but it wasn't like when I rewatched it back when you're commentating on it. It wasn't like that, and that gives a whole nother vibe. But it just felt like Pulse went up first onto the stage to get their things, and we were all standing and clapping, and then it just took ages for Thunder to get up there, and then the people behind the balcony couldn't see, and I was just like, why are they doing it? Just felt odd to me. But hey, that's one of the biggest negative bits of feedback that I've seen as well. And if that's the biggest negative bit of feedback, then you're doing something right.
But then you can also argue that when they do the photo bit on the court, their backs are to half the arena because they're only facing one way, sort of thing. So it's I liked it. I think maybe it could have been sped up a little bit. I did love how Claire Nelson lifted the trophy with Amy Carter as well. That did make me laugh. And I thought Amy was going to run amongst the Thunder players and then lift it. But obviously it's new for everybody. It was organic and cool. And they got another chance to do it on the court, which was, scenes.
There's just a couple of things which we need to talk about. Alison Harrison's mic wasn't working in the arena, which did make it hard as a spectator because Gary's was so loud.
But it's funny because that's only recently in the last few years been brought in that it's projected out into the arena, and it just shows how far we've come, that now it's absolutely essential to the viewing experience that we have that.
It's so insightful, and it's just a bit sad because you could hear Gary's, but it was so obvious. If neither of them were mic'd up, it's almost better, I think.
Yeah, I thought the umpiring was good though as well. Gotta say, again, we'd sit here and moan about it if we thought that it was controversial or bad, but again, in the nicest way possible, they didn't draw my attention, which I think is a good sign.
That's what you want.
And Gary's 17th consecutive final. the same amount of years that Gracie Smith has been alive. Again, I think I said on comms, I don't know if he's proud or embarrassed by that stat, but either way, it's a great achievement. And Ali as well, a little Welsh representative. Well done, Ali Harrison. Yeah.
There's one more thing that I need to bring up, which is the bits of paper that fell from the ceiling, and I do think that you didn't bring it up on commentary. I thought
we didn't notice it.
Did you not?
No.
Oh, it went on for ages, and all the players were like hyped up, ready to start.
Is that why you didn't start?
That's why they didn't start, because there was all these little bits of paper that were obviously meant for the end, just falling from the sky.
Right.
And they all had to like individually pick them up, and then they both regrouped. But it felt, and they did really well, I think, to regroup and start as they did.
Yeah.
But it did feel like it really softened the sort of intensity that had built up.
Yeah. Health and safety managers everywhere are going mad at that, aren't they? Confetti on the court.
Yeah. But anyway, they solved it, and to be honest, like mine stuff. We don't have the official numbers near, but I think it was between 8,000 and 9,000 people that were there.
It didn't seem empty. Like I thought, I was worried about the fact it can hold 23,000, the Co-op Live. But go on.
I think that is for a stage at the front.
Right.
So I think with the court, you're not going to get as many.
No.
It'll be interesting to know how many you could get.
Yeah.
And I do think the arena is great. I mentioned the first time that we brought it up that it is big, but it does feel smaller than the O2, I think. Did you get that vibe?
I don't know. I just thought that I saw it empty and I thought like, oh, is this going to, are we going to fill it, and is it going to feel intimate enough? But then when people were in, I thought it was a vibe. I thought it was great. And I loved seeing the yellow, the splashes of yellow, the splashes of pink, but also the splashes of colours that weren't at the grand final, but people wanted to wear their favourite team shirt as well. I thought that was really cool. Atmosphere was amazing. Yeah, no complaints from me from a viewing perspective. It was amazing to be there in the arena. And I hope people who weren't able to get there but watched on at home. Shout out to Debbie Netball.
Yes.
Not Debbie from Voldemort episode. We love you, Debbie, but other Debbie Netball, who played the Predict a Game with her mates they watched on at home. Honestly, that made my day, seeing that they played that at home and kept a tally of who won. So congratulations to whoever did win that. I think it was somebody's birthday party.
Yeah, we will come on to that later, but I do think Debbie Netball might have got a couple of them wrong. So I'll dive into that in a bit later on, because I watched the whole match very intently again last night to assess.
Emily texted me and it was 4:15. She goes, "When is the first intercept?" Was there not a clean intercept?
There was not a clean intercept until I think Q4, but arguably the end of, or the beginning of Q4 or the end of Q3. But there was loads and loads of tips. So. Right. Like they were getting,
what we should have just said is live turnover. That's what we should have said.
Yeah, but you were very pernickety about it.
I was.
Anyway, there was no feelings there for a long time, and it meant I couldn't take my eyes off it and write the running order for today, because I had to make sure I got the first intercept. Anyway, we got there. My question on the arena is, and this is going to sound, I hope this doesn't sound negative, because I thought like it was so good and the vibes and the energy were there. We're getting about 8,000 to 10,000, maybe say you can get a bit more to a grand final. Why don't we go for a slightly smaller venue like the NEC in Birmingham? I think that holds 15,000. Sell it out, get cheaper tickets, because it won't be as much to hold it there. And this is all presumption. I don't know the ins and outs of holding the event. And just get that like complete cauldron going on. Sell out and get cheaper tickets, get the real big fans in, and make it sort of more of an event for everyone. Yeah,
I mean, there's arguments for it. I think it looks good to say that you've booked out a netball game at the Co-op Live, and we'll have a plaque now. I think the Super League are going to have a plaque on the wall next to some very cool names. And, just when you go out and you're trying to secure commercial deals and sponsorships, to say that your grand final was at the Co-op Live, it's like the new big shiny arena, isn't it? And we are now, and forever will be, the first sporting final that was held there. So we've always got that. But now that is ticked off. My argument is, do we want to keep moving it around? Do you want to keep having this logistical thing of where's it going to be and are we going to fill it and whatever else? Instead of, like in the FA Cup, it's always at Wembley and it's like the road to Wembley, and you can start the vision of that and you can create a story on that. It's like it's the road to somewhere. Would you have it just in one arena. I don't know. I know there's pros to moving it round, like the travel thing for you as a London-based fan. You've had the away gig this year, but it might come back to closer to you. It's a UK league, let's not forget. So will we ever venture over to Wales and maybe have it in Cardiff in one of their indoor arenas? I'd love to see that. Yeah, food for thought. Are we going to talk about the game, though?
Sorry. Let's talk. Yeah. Well, actually, no. First of all, we're going to talk about the broadcast.
Oh.
Do you want to get straight to the game?
I just think we haven't spoken about the game yet.
Well, I know. We're building up to it.
Okay, fine.
I'll run quickly through the broadcast because you were on it, Nia, and probably can't really.
I don't watch it back. Opinions. You can tell me how it was.
I thought it was outstanding. I absolutely loved it. I loved the VTs. I loved that they planned that first one where they say, imagine you're in the grand final. What are you saying to yourself at the beginning of the season? Oh, so good. Loved it. Tamsin was on the screen. That's where we like to see her. However, I do think she could have been standing with the rest of the pundits. My one bit of feedback there. We spoke to Dave Edwards from Amex. He didn't say much, to be honest. It was nice that he got some time, but Claire had said, they're going to reveal on Saturday that how you apply for your super fund. He just said, watch this space in the next few days. It will be revealed. So I was just like, oh, okay.
Again, watch this space. Where's the space and how do I watch it?
A lot of people have mentioned that they didn't like the drone during the match. I liked it. I didn't really notice it that much, to be honest. But I did like it. However, I would, if you're going to spend money on a drone, I would have preferred that money to be spent on audio in the timeouts.
I think they were meant to, but I think the guys, by the time they pick up all their boom mics and run over, it's like it's over and we don't ever hear it. And yeah, that we just need somebody sat behind them with a big hamster on the end of a stick and you just whack it in.
Yeah, and know where you're going. Know where you're going.
Yeah, because
but look, I thought it was really, really great. I've got a question for you, Nia.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like just being a commentator, or did you miss doing some of that punditry on screen?
I did miss it a little bit just because, like, I love working with Jenna and Jodie. We did it last week, and the other guys, obviously. But do you know what was nice about this one is that everybody had a clear role. And usually when you're doing other games like the double headers and stuff, you have to kind of be a jack of all trades, master of none, where I do a bit of reporting. I'm having to dash down and climb over a barrier or beg with a security guard. Like, I've got accreditation. I need to do the captain's interview on the court now. And then dash back up to commentary. And I haven't even really seen the starting seven. And that's fresh out of coming out of, waiting 3 hours for makeup and doing punditry. So that is chaos in itself, but you're dipping your toe into everything. I actually quite like this weekend that Sky just said to me, you're just on co-coms. I know my role. I can try and maximize that. I know what my prep is. I'm not, dashing around different places. And I think that's the way that it needs to go to be more professional. You have your studio pundits, you have Tamsin at the screen. She comes in as a third voice. You have your co-coms, whatever it is. But, yeah, I enjoyed it. It was honestly a privilege. And, I do really appreciate the feedback. It won't be to everybody's taste at all. I understand that. But I do get some really nice feedback, which is lovely because you want to do a good job and you are lucky to be there. And I feel a real responsibility in being in the arena when other people aren't and getting to call these historic moments in clubs' tenures or in individual players' lives. And I want to do a good job because I've watched too many games of netball over the years that I've played in or my friends have played in that I don't feel like it's been, they haven't had their justice served, basically, of some of their amazing achievements. So, yeah, I feel it's a duty to add colour. That is my role, to make it entertaining, to make it informative, and, yeah, hopefully just add to the overall viewing experience.
Well, I think it definitely did, so well done.
You have to say that, but thank you.
No, I didn't. I think I would just stay silent if I didn't think so.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so moving into the actual game, and look, there were so many storylines for Thunder, and I do think that Sky really brought them out. It was like this fairy tale. They came from no wins at the Super Cup. They built through the season. There was the comeback for Nat Metcalf as a new mum. The growth of Elle Cardwell coming back from injury and how she has been there for all 5 of their titles now. Yep. Like, they haven't won one without her.
Yep.
And then you brought it up, the Sophie Fawns emotional story where her dad and her granddad came over and surprised her and she then won player of the match. Oh, it was just written in the stars, it felt like.
Yeah, and it being in Manchester as well, it kind of it fit the
yeah.
script. Yeah,
100%. And what a game of netball it was. It was tight all the way through. For me, the difference, Nia, was that Manchester Thunder had that bench, and Karen Greig's timings of when she put those subs on was immaculate.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah, and I just think credit to Greig as well for the Finn, Cerys Finn, because we've spoken about her journey this season. This is her, well, technically the fourth team that she's represented if we're counting Next Gen. Who else can say that they've made their debut and secured a winner's medal on the same day? It was just amazing. But it was more than that. It was her impact and what she brought to that defensive end. Key turnover straight away having come on. And that is it. You're rolling the dice. So I know we're crediting Greig and she absolutely deserves it. But I question why she didn't elevate one of her next-gen players. She's clearly seen something in Cerys Finn that thinks she could play a part in these final two games. Didn't use her last week, didn't feel the need to use her 2 weeks ago. But in this final, when she needed something, and they were still in control, Thunder, I thought they were still there or thereabouts, but they weren't really winning ball. And she was just spectacular. So what Greig has seen in her in training and how she's taught her the structures and the players around her have taught her the structures. And I think we caught up with Phil Thomas on the day as well, and he just said playing in the circle with Josie, I think she's so vocal and she's such a leader, and wherever she needs you, she is telling you with volume and with assertion that it makes your job easy as a goal defence as soon as you enter that circle. I just thought, yeah, the injection of her was brilliant. The shift over from Pearson into wing attack, and on comes Fawns at goal attack. I think she was just told to get on there and speed things up. In the first instance, she tried a little bit too hard. I think she tried a reset before looking forward, and actually it was fumbled on the line. But then from then, it was just like she was in flow mode, and she was wanging these Aussie passes with one hand in, fearless on the shot, disguised with the pops over to Cardwell. It was brilliant. And Pulse unfortunately just didn't have anybody that could really come on and inject that, although she didn't choose to, Sam Bird. So maybe for her, and sometimes you don't know what you need in your 10 until you're in that very moment, and you look across to the bench and you're 2 down in the grand final and you think, I don't think any of those guys are going to help. They're either going to maintain or it might even dip. And I think that's when you really know as a head coach what you need to do in your recruitment period. As soon as you look across that bench, if I don't need them when I really need them in the grand final, then you need to go out and find players who you do.
Yeah. I think that's key. I think she needs to strengthen the bench. I think she could have brought Maseko on in that third quarter. As soon as Cerys Finn came on, it just went static for them for a little bit. But at the same time, hindsight is easy. And, Pulse did get it back to within 2, and they were drawing with 3 minutes to go, I think. So who knows what would have happened. And fair play to Pulse as well, because there was a period of time where I was like, oh no, this is going to blow out. Yeah. But they were like, absolutely
that third
not.
quarter was a disaster for Pulse. They came out of the tactical really well, scored 2 on the bounce, and then I think that was all they scored for the rest of the quarter. So that third quarter really did the damage. But you're right, they did really well to come back into it and make it a really exciting contest towards the end.
And fair play to them. I just think they were clearly gutted at the end. They had that centre pass, and poor Gracie, I saw her at the end being consoled by Sam, and I like seeing that from Sam, but you're just gutted for Gracie, and I hope that she can just move forward from it quite quickly. Yeah, good.
What did you make of the medal situation that people have been opinionated on? Some players, I didn't actually notice at the time, and I watched for that behaviour. I saw them all accepting their medals, and I love that they got a standing ovation by fans of all colours, jerseys. But then I think some fans spotted that they were soon taken off.
Oh, I think fair enough.
Do you?
Yeah. I think whatever. Like, they're gutted. They haven't won. They've just lost the grand final by 2. This is everything they've been working towards for the season.
Yeah, but what difference does having the silver medal around your neck make?
Well, it's just a bit symbolic, isn't it? Like, I'm not here for a silver medal. And it's not like they accepted them and then didn't put them on. They put them on.
No. But I don't know why we do this in team sports though, because at the Olympic Games, if netball's going to become an Olympic game, Olympic sport, and a team of players that we know win a silver, you'd never take it off, or a bronze, you'd never take it off. And I know it feels more like you turned up on the day and you've lost on that day rather than you'll turn up on the day and you've won that day. I understand that psychology, but just for me as well, I work in a school, like, we do have a responsibility, and I do feel like that's a learned behaviour from seeing male footballers do it over the years. I don't think if they ever did it, we never saw it, then we would do it. I think it's a learned behaviour, and I don't love it, if I'm honest. I think we've got a responsibility for kids watching at home in the crowd, that you keep it round your neck for 10 minutes and you can do whatever you like with it in the changing room. You can give it away to somebody in the crowd if you like. But that is something that if I was captain of that group, I'd be saying, stay here, sign your autographs, keep that medal round your neck, and then you can go and cry and swear all you like in the changing room. But that's just me.
Fair. We can agree to disagree. It didn't bother me at all. I think we can agree on one thing, which is that a huge congratulations to Manchester Thunder. Well done. Your 5th title. It's a record equaling 5th title, and what a journey they've had. We predicted this at the beginning of the season, but after Super Cup, we were both a bit like, So yeah, just big congratulations to them and Karen Greig. I thought that coaching at the end was sublime. The reason that we've delayed recording is because we were waiting for the Commonwealth Games squad to be announced, and it has been announced this very morning. Now, for those of you not aware, I will read you out the squad now. So, in defence, we've got Halima Adio, Fran Williams, Fumi Fadoju, Jada Pekova, mid-court, Imo Allison, Jess Shaw, Amy Carter, Nat Metcalf, and in attack, Sasha Glasgow, Liv Cheen, Eleanor Cardwell, Lois Pearson. And we also have 4 reserves being named, which I think is quite big. Ella Clark, Alice Harvey, Tash Pavlin and Alicia Scholes. They will support the team's preparations for the games as reserves in the lead up to the tournament, and I think that means they can get replaced up to the beginning of the tournament. What's your initial reaction to the squad?
My initial reaction is they've gone for experience and reliability over maybe some maverick choices, but seeing how players finished the season, I know we did like a who would we pick a few weeks ago, and we said at the time it'll probably change from the end of the season. There's nobody in there that I disagree with. I think it's a really solid squad. I think the balance of positions is really strong. And again, just going off the form that we saw towards the end of the season, but also the robustness of the players and their availability towards the end of the season. Like it's so hard at a Com Games when you've got to play multiple days in a row, one rest day in and amongst sort of 6 or 7 games if you get that far. So no complaints from me. I think the defence picks itself, like we said.
Yeah.
Obviously the Helen Houseby not being in there, we thought that Lois Pearson might move into that shooting end. Again, I've not watched enough of Sasha Glasgow, but you can't really turn your nose up at anybody who's exposed to SSN environments week in, week out. West Coast Fever, no less. I think it's a well balanced leadership group as well. So Fran Williams, I think, picks herself in there as captain. They've still got Nat Metcalf, who will lead, without an armband or without a tag.
Yeah.
With probably her extra parental responsibilities and coming back just a year after her birth. But also to have Amy Carter in there, who's captained all year at Thunder and has got strong links with a lot of the Thunder contingent, but also Liv Cheen in there for the links with the Pulse players in there as well. She's in there on absolute merit. And I've seen a few clips actually that Pulse have uploaded of how she speaks in the changing room. And I think she half does it in a funny way, but actually what she's saying is super, super cool. And you can tell that she has full respect of the athletes in that room as well. So I think, I'm on board with it. I think it's good. I think fans can get excited. And again, we spoke about the strength of Pulse's bench. When Anna Stembridge looks across or Liv Murphy or whoever it is looks across, and you want players that you can rely on who have been exposed to high-level opposition lately under your guidance, and you've seen how they're able to apply your tactical demands. She's got that in this squad of 12. So, I know there's players that have got to miss out, but there always will be.
Yeah. My only thought on it is I do think that having either Liz Scholes or Gracie Smith in there is a bit of a wild card, as someone you can bring on, bring something a bit different that the oppositions aren't going to know about. It's just something we might be missing, but I totally get it. And I like the fact that Alicia Scholes has been named as a reserve. I mean, she'll probably be gutted about that, but I think it's progress. Like, we're seeing her in the squad, and I'm just hopeful that she'll smash it out of the park and be ready for World Cup next year, because I think she's shown when she's come back after the injury, how important she is and how much of a game changer she can be. And yeah, I just think she deserves that spot.
Yeah, and I definitely saw there wasn't. I saw an improvement in her, how she held herself as an athlete in the second half of the season in terms
100%.
of, just the social media engagement and things. But also she did have an injury. She missed 4 of the final rounds of the regular season, which might not have helped her case. But also she is a specialist, and, not all coaches are on board with having one specialist in a long tournament. But there's definitely a place for it. If you think about Chelsea Pittman's role when they actually won the gold in 2018, she was a specialist wing attack pretty much, and just sharing that role with Metcalf. So she's 25, Gracie Smith is 17. There are lots of tours and competitions and tournaments coming up. So, there's a full circle moment, isn't there? And we talked to her a little bit later on, but Amy Carter and Hallie Adio 2 years ago were named as reserves for the World Cup. And, they've kept their heads, they've kept improving, and now they're in the 12. That's a part of it. That's part of what makes sport so good when you make squads like this, is because there's been heartaches and setbacks along the way as well.
Yeah, 100%. And now we are lucky enough to be joined by Anna Stembridge and Amy Carter for a little chat.
Anna Stembridge, head coach of the England netball team, head into the Commonwealth Games. Congratulations. I'm sure it's a very exciting day, so thank you for joining here if you need. A bit of a full circle moment for you, heading to Glasgow again for a Commonwealth Games in charge of England. You were the coach that was in charge of England when they first took a series win against Australia way back in 2013. Firstly, do you think we're too quick to forget historic moments like that with you at the helm? And secondly, how much can you take from experiences like that in your previous tenure?
Yeah, so great question. I think it was a while ago,
Yeah.
but ultimately it was a historic moment. So prior to that test series, that was the first one was only the third time we'd ever beaten Australia. The second time was the first time we'd ever taken a series, and the third time was a whitewash, and Australia at that point had only ever had one other whitewash against them. So I think in terms of historical moment, it was like the sleepy giant awoken. We had a number of players like a Jo Harton that had accumulated a number of test matches and caps to her name, but she literally was prolific in that series. And for me, it was like, okay, we're here to, we're not just dancing at the party, we're here to dominate. And I think it was a real opportunity for us to kind of start to believe and to genuinely compete and not just be, the bridesmaid. So yeah.
I want to see your dancing at parties now that you've used that analogy, but maybe at the end of the games you've got a medal around your neck. But
Anna, we started this pod in February with a pretty big clip talking about how we wanted transparency around selections, and obviously you're giving that to us now. We're really grateful, so thank you for jumping on here. But that clip was about Liz Scholes, and so I want to ask you again, she's just won for the second year in a row the NSL All-Star wing attack. What are your reasons as to why she's not made that 12?
Yeah, so I think it's not just me in terms of the selection panel. We've got a really robust process. So to kind of give you a little bit of background, it's myself, Liv, and the head of assessors. And then we've got a number of assessors that also feed into that. We have data intelligence from across the season, both internationally and NSL and SSN. So there's a whole host of information that feeds into those selection points and then the final selection. So I think that's an important point to share. And I think in terms of different individuals, you've spoken specifically around lists, we could also look to an Ella Clark who got the gold tack all-star. Those players are definitely in the mix, and it's really important that they are absolutely being discussed. Ultimately, those two players I've just named are our Vitality Roses reserves, so they will be in and amongst training. We are definitely looking at those players, not just the now but the World Cup. Ultimately, we are 7 games in 10 days. So when we look at tournament readiness, when we look at the physical preparation, the psychological preparation, the tactical diversity, there's so many things that go into selection. And it's not just around form, it's around connections with players, it's around like I said, tactical diversity. What other positions can people offer us? What are those matchups that we've seen internationally and on the domestic domestic season? So there's a whole host of stuff that goes into final decisions.
Just on that. So how would you weight those things? Are you kind of looking at the Australian squad and going, oh, this player will play well against this one, or are you thinking of it more like you're going to have a sort of starting 7 across the board?
I think ultimately, like, that is the coaching craft. Like, what are we looking at? What form are we taking? You guys don't get to see, unfortunately, like, training. So in terms of like what form, who's been connecting well, what cards do we want to play early on in a tournament? What cards do we want to hold back? So in answer to your question, Emily, it's around, what it's a bit of like a game of chess, isn't it? Ultimately, I'm playing this move, you're playing that. Like, what can we anticipate? And yes, looking at the like Australia squad, that's the one you just said there. What have we seen in terms of what's worked well? But then also, what are we seeing in SSN where they're being a little bit exploited? And then what do we have that can exploit that?
And just going back to the Scholes point, and it's the last point we'll make on it, because you can vouch for lots of players to be in with a chance of selection, and I don't think any of us can complain with the 12 that have been selected. They're all there on absolute merit. It was quite hinted on social media the last few days that she might not be involved this summer. How did she take the news that she was going to be there as a reserve? Was she chuffed to be a reserve, or was she more gutted to not be in the 12?
Look, all players got phoned. I think I said this on a different interview, like, in terms of, it's really important for me philosophically and for Liv as that coaching team that this is a decision now, but that doesn't mean like for the future. So actually what we do, how we support those athletes, how we integrate them. So, the 4 that we've named as our Vitality Roses reserves, ultimately, like, they want to be in the 12. So they're disappointed. Liz was disappointed to not get selected, but ultimately they will do what they need to do in order to support the team and be ready. Because unfortunately, we've seen over the years, like, changes end up being made.
Yeah.
Whether it's illness, injury, etc. So what I can say, hand on heart, all 4 players I spoke to, they were like, we will be ready as and when you need us. We will do what you need us to do. And we've been really clear around how we will be utilising them in training, what over the next few weeks, when they will be part of that group, when it might be actually the 12 have to take like priority in terms of some of the matches that we've got lined up. So they were brilliant is the short answer. I couldn't have asked for more, whilst acknowledging, like, ultimately they'd be disappointed because they've not made the 12.
And one player that did make the 12 was Jada Peckover, who's had an outstanding year with Nottingham Forest. We've spoken about it on the pod as well, how surprised we were that she wasn't originally selected for the World Youth Cup last year. She did eventually go due to injury, we know. Were you surprised that she was left out of that squad? Or actually, do you think it maybe has served as a catalyst for the amazing form we've seen this year, and now she's heading to a senior Commonwealth Games?
Yeah, credit to Jada, like you said, in terms of the growth that she's demonstrated. She really took on board what the feedback that she had in terms of her individual performance plan. She's obviously worked really hard behind the scenes with, like, Chelsea in terms of her club coach supporting that. And ultimately she's been undeniably brilliant this season, week in, week out. And I think that's really important. Sometimes when we get excited about one performance, like, actually she's been consistent. And again, having that opportunity to go in those environments, be up close and personal with them, you can really hear, see, feel that development. And credit to her. She took on board her feedback, what the key areas that she needed to work on. And like you said, she thoroughly deserved those accolades. I joked with her the other day, like, did you have enough space in terms of your bookshelf? But she's had a standout season for sure.
She has. Moving on to Helen Housby, it's a bigger mission. How much did that injury and not having a lead like her impact the rest of your squad selection? And related to that, we've got Sasha Glasgow coming over from West Coast Fever. How important is it that she's had that connection with Shani Layton and Fran over this season?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, obviously gutted not to have Helen. Like, she's a serial winner. Like, it's undeniable. Like, she literally is a serial winner. So, and also from a leadership perspective, but I am confident, like, in terms of what Helen brings, how she gets around the group, how she'll be our biggest supporter ultimately. But it is important that we make sure we get the right wrap around an individual to ensure longevity, to ensure, like, we've got World Cup, not far down the road. So gutted that we haven't got her, but also super confident in terms of those that have played in that position. So you mentioned Sash, outstanding forms. I have watched every game in SSN. I am an absolute netball geek, but I also have been making sure I'm tracking the form of those individuals. Shani and Dan Ryan have done an excellent job with Sash, in terms of the form that she's hit. We were also very lucky to work very closely with Sash in terms of this autumn period. So while she might not have got many minutes in terms of the New Zealand series and the Jamaica series, she was very much in the thick of our training environment, building those connections, whether that be with Lois, whether that's with Eleanor, whether that's with Liv, So feel really confident around those that will be asked to put on that bib and represent us and perform the role that we need them to do tactically. But grateful in terms of the work that Dan Ryan and Shani have done with Sash, and credit to Sash, she's been pretty prolific in terms of this season.
And sorry, one more on that. Will you be looking at her as a goal attack predominantly?
We'll be making sure we're looking at both. So I know both in terms of training environment, she's been playing both. I also know that we've only seen a few minutes or quarters here and there across the SSN where she has flipped and Olivia's played out in front of her. But one of the key factors I mentioned earlier around, like, that tactical diversity, the ability to slide in certain positions, because ultimately we've got 7 games in 10 days. So we are going to need to call upon our whole squad if we are going to travel through a tournament and hit teams with great form.
And just finally, Anna, so you've obviously taken the reins almost halfway through a domestic season, but just for anybody who's unfamiliar with an Anna Stembridge team, whether that's an international team that you've managed or famously Team Bath, of course, that were very successful under you, what can we expect to see as a non-negotiable from a group of players managed by Anna Stembridge? What sort of things from an identity point of view, not tactically, but personality-wise?
Definitely very hardworking. Like, we will ensure our preparation is absolutely where it needs to be. So whether that's the physical preparation, whether that's the tactical clarity in terms of the analysis work that we do, preparation is key, and we will not undersell it. I am very lucky and very fortunate to work with the likes of Liv, Jo, Shani, and others. Liv has captained her country. She's got nearly 100 caps to her name. Jo Harton's got over 100 caps to their name. So they are fabulous coaches that demand high standards. So even when you kind of get the image of like a Jo Harton as a player, that passion, that drive, that high standards, non-negotiables, we will not have any passengers. That is the statement Liv and I have said. We will not have any passengers.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us, Anna. We really appreciate it. It's got me a bit excited about the Commonwealth Games, and I'm fairly sure Nia's second team is going to be England this year. Is that right, Nia?
My second team is whoever's managed by a Welsh coach, and that's Anna. So
there you go. So yeah, we wish you all the best, and thank you so much for talking to us. Cheers.
Thank you. Good luck,
guys. Thank you.
Welcome, Amy, and congratulations on your selection. It's been an amazing week for you personally. You've had that massive grand final win, and now you're being announced as the vice captain of the England Commonwealth Games squad. Can you just tell us, first of all, when did you find out?
So it doesn't really get better than this week, really, does it? But I found out it's kind of in the early June. You find out, so you get told that you're going to get a call that morning, and you sit around and you wait for that call, and then you get a bit nervous and you go, right, I'm just going to go out and I'm gonna go bake something. So I went out to Sainsbury's, and that's obviously when the call comes in, doesn't it? So I was in Sainsbury's car park, and the call comes in, and I'm like, I'm trying to like disconnect from Apple CarPlay, and it's not working, and then I'm like, no sounds coming out of my phone, so then like disconnecting, walking out. So I found out in Sainsbury's car park, basically.
You need to get a sponsorship with Sainsbury's after that.
Yeah.
And obviously you've been practicing your baking at the back of the Thunder bus, Phil was telling us.
Yeah, well, I made that recipe actually. It's family heirloom recipe. This chocolate fridge cake, which Taylor always requests, to be honest.
Who was the first person that you told as well?
So when I'm up in Manchester, I'm staying with my family at my parents, because I'm mainly based in London usually. So I called them into the conservatory and went, can you both come downstairs? And my dad's going, why? And my mum's going, just come, Paul, just come, Paul. It's obviously something serious. So then they came into the conservatory, and I told them there, but they were like, I thought it was like something, there was an emergency going on or something. But they were obviously both of them very pleased. They're both of them are very involved in netball, and they come to everything, and they watch all of your podcasts and everything, and they just love it.
How much then did that decision have, how much of an impact did it have on your form with Manchester Thunder? Because you finished the second half of the season amazingly, both individually but also as a team. How much of that is because selection is looming in the background, or actually was it just a huge confidence boost and a relief maybe as well, knowing that you're actually in it and then you could just play freely?
I think you always have the awareness that selection's around the corner and it's coming, and but for me, I very much focus on what is here and now, and I like to be kind of process driven in a lot of ways. I want to focus on right here, right now, and then complete that, then move on to the next thing, then move on to the next thing. So it was obviously a big relief and really exciting to get that news, and hearing about other people that are in AO Thunder as well. So we did kind of go into the gym on the day that we found out we've got a secret.
Surely you're all lifting PBs in the gym that day.
Yeah, maybe. I think we're a bit more distracted, to be fair, that day.
Yeah.
And do you think that having all those connections from Thunder is really going to help in the Com Games?
Definitely. We've had a whole season working together, implementing different strategies and different tactics, and connections are so vital in netball, and we're quite lucky. It is kind of the Thunder attack that is also going to be correlating with the England. So yeah, we can definitely implement lots of stuff that we've done in Thunder and transfer over. And
you, Amy, were a travelling reserve for the Netball World Cup in 2023 to South Africa. Just what can you gain, what can you take from that experience into now being actually in the 12, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's really important to kind of progress up through. So I have really enjoyed my journey and just getting a little bit being experienced within the squad, being that reserve, and then being in that environment, but not fully having all of the pressures that's involved in being in that environment is really important. And I certainly learned a lot, and me and Hallie were both travelling reserves at that point, and now we're both in the Commonwealth Games squad. So you do develop, you learn what it's like in a final, you learn what it's like doing tournament netball. So then you are a bit more prepared when you're actually going to be going to a tournament, as at least I hope. And you definitely do take a lot of learnings from it.
Talking about South Africa, you played them with England in January, and it wasn't the greatest of tours. But what are the big learnings that you've taken away from that? And how's your confidence going into the group game with them?
For me, I very much think sometimes you learn a lot more from your losses, and you try and turn things around and you try and work on it. At AO Thunder this year, we lost every game at the Super Cup, and then we lost our first round game, and then we've ended up winning the league and winning at the grand final. So where you start your journey isn't necessarily where you're going to actually end up at the end of it. And I think you sometimes need a little bit of a wake up call, and probably January was that wake up call for us to change up things, change some tactics, and then hopefully this training camp going into it, we'll reconnect as a group and we'll be able to push forward.
And this is your first Commonwealth Games. Have you got any memories of watching it growing up, or watching some of the recent games as an England fan or from afar? What can you share with us?
Well, I remember going to see the games in Glasgow, and I'm watching netball up there, and we watched New Zealand play. I can't remember who New Zealand played, but I watched Liana Leota, and I wasn't really big into netball at that point. I was just going as kind of a fan of the Commonwealth Games in itself, and I remember Liana Leota doing this big massive jump, and I was like, whoa, that's really impressive. She was actually playing goal attack at that point in this game.
I remember,
yeah, and I was like, wow, that's really impressive. And then now obviously do netball myself and go into Commonwealth Games with Team England, so it really is a full circle moment.
And you spoke about Liana Leota. Are there any England centres? You're joining a long, famous list of amazing mid-quarters that have gone to Commonwealth Games with Team England. Is there anybody that you model your game on, or anybody that you've looked up to or still look up to that has played that role for England?
Within England, Serena Guthrie is obviously the classic one. She's an absolute workhorse, very athletic, very talented, and really developed the game. And culturally, she's brought the energy and the culture to the team, and she's very passionate. I've obviously had a bit of experience with her, so I'd probably say I'd look up to Serena Guthrie, really.
And you spoke about culture there. You've also been named as vice captain of the team, which is an amazing honour, I'm sure you'll admit to. But what do you think you can bring to that role alongside Fran and Liv Cheen as well?
I think this year I've obviously captained AO Thunder and developed my leadership skills through there, and I've just basically made them do lots of silly stuff basically in the change rooms, and there's lots of buy-in, so I'm hoping to take some of that through, relax a little bit, have some insight into what the team needs in those moments, if it's a bit of hype, if it's a bit of chill out, relax, whatever it is. I think I'll be able to bring that, and obviously have really good relationships with Fran and Liv as well, so I think we'll be a really connected leadership group.
I have one more question, which is a bit of a fun one. Will you be rooming together at the Commonwealth Games, and do you get a choice in that? And if so, who is your number one roommate?
We do room together at the Commonwealth Games. Not sure who I am rooming with yet. Usually I room with Imo, Fran, Elle Cardwell, probably my top three that I generally room with.
Do you have a choice, or are you just put into twos?
Usually I think Fran does the rooming list, but she obviously knows who wants to room with who and stuff like that. But like Imo was my first roommate in under 17s Netball Europe, so that'd be quite full circle as well.
Nice.
And just finally, you're a doctor. You're a doctor with the NHS.
Mm-hmm.
Are you being granted some special leave for the Commonwealth Games, surely?
So I just do locum shifts at the moment, ad hoc. So I pick up when and as I need them. So it works quite nicely. So I'm going to have a bit of time off over the next couple of months to focus on the Commonwealth Games. But then we'll pick it up in the August, September time.
Do your teammates do that annoying thing where they come over with any weird ailments or rashes or cuts and ask for your opinion? I know I would.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's got a finger.
No, I think it's fine, Amy. Don't worry about diagnosing me there. But thank you so much for joining us. It's been great to chat to you, and congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thanks, Amy. Those were quite interesting chats. I feel like we got a bit of insight there from Anna, and I really liked how she answered quite a few of those questions. She didn't shy away from them, and I said it, but it gave me a little tingle of like excitement going into the Commonwealth Games, which I haven't had so far. So,
and just to provide a bit of insight for people as well. So, we were offered an opportunity to jump on and chat. It was going to be like an in-person event, but I think the weather has made it almost impossible. So we were granted 10-minute access with Anna, 10-minute access with Amy Carter, and we had to write our questions in, send them in just so that they could prepare, because obviously it's not a long period of time to be grilling. And just for transparency, actually, we've I'd say, improved our relationship with the comms team at England Netball significantly
Yes.
since Voldemort. So shout out to Izzy and Laura, who, you know, we're working with really well now, and they were the ones that have been contacting us about it. And we sent some questions that actually they wanted to push back on a little bit, but we were able to gently push back. And actually, they checked with Anna, and Anna said, ask me whatever you want. I'm ready for it. Because I think that's important, that if we ask a daft question, right, or something that you think is just way left field, absolutely out of order, and you, in an ideal world, you wouldn't want to answer it. I actually think that's an opportunity for coaches to say, hang on a minute, this athlete does this or doesn't do this. And the fact that you're asking that and highlighting that, I think is, do that to us. I would rather that than be sanitized out of ever asking the question. So yeah, just a thank you to the comms team for that dialogue and that, you know, that willingness to be open in our relationship.
So it wasn't just the England squad that was announced, Neil. Yesterday, we also got the South African squad, and it is stacked as we'd presumed. And I like, Shadeen van der Merwe has not made the squad, and I just want to have a moment just to be like, wow, that is wild. She's had an incredible season. Also Van Tonder, who played every match against England for most of the game and was outstanding. Like, Nicola Smith barely got on the court because she was so good. She hasn't made this squad, and I think that is shocking, and it's also giving us warning sirens for England, going their defense is ready, and they've had so much more experience now in the NSL. Like, South Africa are gonna come, and they're gonna surprise a lot of people. Maybe not surprised because we've been talking about it for so long.
Well, you think they're going to win gold, so are you standing by it?
If I was to bet money, I would take the odds, because I think they'll be longer odds than they should be.
Okay.
I think Australia is still favourites, but I would like to, obviously I want England to win, just to be clear. I want England to do it, but my second team will be South Africa. Okay. And I'm going for the finals weekend, and I might have to take a South African flag. That's all I'm saying. What
if they're playing England?
They won't be playing England.
Is it not possible?
No. So we're in a group with them, with Australia.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I think
so
Australia will go through, and then it'll be either England or South Africa. So I have either an England or South Africa flag.
You could meet them in the final, though.
No.
Oh no, you're right. Because
unless Australia go out in the group,
you both beat us. Okay, yeah. Just pack both flags.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to just highlight that and just talk about that for a moment. Also, Carla Pretorius is back, which is huge. Obviously, things we love to see, even if it's at the expense of Shadeen. Like, it's so hard, but
yeah,
exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I just love watching Carla Pretorius play. I haven't seen her lately. I've heard that she's played very strongly down in their domestic league, and is really eyed up coming back for these games. So credit to her. And again, I don't think Jenny Van Dijk would pick somebody just on name. I think you'd have to fully earn it. It's a shame for Van der Merwe, who again finished the season with an injury and missed some valuable game time with Loughborough Lightning. I don't know how much that played into it. I know Nicola Smith missed the last, the prelim and the final, but was very, very clear that it was a minor injury. Please pick me for the games in the summer. I'm going to be ready. But yeah, it's going to be fascinating. The top two of that group, certainly. Everywhere else is as expected. I think Jamie Gollop has picked up a couple of awards, hasn't she, at Mavericks, Fans Player of the Year and Players Player of the Year as well. So Visser in there. I think it's exciting that all four of those defenders, so Pretorius used to play in this league. She used to be at Team Bath. Obviously, Nicola Smith has played at a couple of clubs. Visser is at Rhinos and Gollop is at Mavericks. So I know you asked Claire Nelson if it's a training ground for the England Roses. I think it's a training ground for the Proteas now.
Yeah, 100%.
Good luck if they ever lift that import rule, because
they're not.
You'll get yourself
they're not
fixed.
lifted. I've officially been told that is not the case for this season, which is a bit sad for me. But anyway, the team of the season was chosen, the all-star team of the season. And it was as follows: goal shooter, Samantha Wallace-Joseph; goal attack, Ella Clark; wing attack, Alicia Scholes; centre, Iona Christian; wing defence, Taylor McKevitt; goal defence, Jackie Newton; goalkeeper, Jodie Peckover; and the coach was Renga Bloxham. Now, I suggested that this was a bit of a rogue sort of team that was chosen, and you've come up with some brand new information, at least for me, on how it's selected.
Yeah, so the Coach of the Year one, as of this year, is a specialist panel. And I don't know how much is being divulged about the specialist panel, but there's lots of areas that different people from different backgrounds and roles are asked to rank all the coaches. And it's important to note as well that this was done at the end of the regular season. So, you know, finals and semi-finals performances didn't have a bearing on it. Whether you agree with that or not, I don't know. But it was pretty unanimous that it was Rhaegar Bloxham. I think purely based on the fact, if you compare Dragons last year, who finished dead bottom, by the way, to this year, it was a 14-point improvement. So I think that's where you really need to look at why it's gone to Bloxham as opposed to maybe a Greig who won the championship. It's based on regular season, and it was really looking at a marked improvement in just 12 months, given that, you know, Dragons as a franchise aren't as far ahead in their journey in all departments as maybe a Thunder or a Pulse or any of those other typical top teams. Team of the season, I don't think people know this, and maybe it needs to be explained a little bit more. That is the players, the current NSL players voting for that. So it's always a bit of a dreaded meeting towards the end of the season where your coach goes, right, guys, you know, we're going to do analysis on our centre pass attack. We're going to talk about the community work we've got to do at the weekend. And also we've got to pick team of the season and umpire of the season. So it's the players' vote. So two things on that. Firstly, these players are playing against these players week in, week out. So it's different when you feel what it's like to be on the court with that player, or you feel the impact that they have on the game when they're in the team opposite you. It's a lot more insightful than just us watching it on Sky or on the BBC. So you have to take that into account. Secondly, sometimes a little bit of politics can come into it. So if you've had a bust up in the corridor with a player and it, you know, they've had a stellar season and it comes to it, right, who are we voting for? You say, anyone but her. I'm not having our club put her down. So some of that might come into it, and I'm not saying that has come into it, but of course it does. But it's not been a fan vote, it's not been an expert panel vote, it's not been done on stats. The players have voted for it, and it's a little bit like we see in the football of the Ballon d'Or, and they're actually publicised which players vote for who in the Ballon d'Or. You see that the South Americans all vote for Messi, you see that the Portuguese players all vote for Ronaldo, you see that all the French vote for Mbappe or Dembele. All of that comes into it as well. So take it with a pinch of salt, guys. All of those players had brilliant years.
They did, yeah.
There we are.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was interesting. I was a bit surprised to hear that. So
yeah.
Thanks for that insight, Nia. That's what we like here on Here If You Need. Now, everyone's going to be waiting for this, Nia. It's the grand final predictor. And shout out to Debbie Netball, who also did it at home. Now, Debbie, I think I have a few different answers to you, so I'm going to go through mine after watching the game. So the first centre pass was won by Thunder. Come on. That was me who won that one. The first person on the floor, and I put this on our stories because I filmed it because I was filming the very beginning of the match.
Didn't it take like 10 seconds?
10 seconds. Was Taylor McKevitt. Neither of us got that one. The first clean intercept. Now, this is a toss-up between Finn.
I like what you did there. This is a toss-up.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have them anymore though, so, you know, old school. Finn or McKevitt, which neither of us got, so it doesn't actually matter. But just for reference, Finn did a little tip in the circle and then caught her own rebound. Or not rebound, it wasn't a rebound. Caught her own tip. Yeah. And I was like, is that the clean intercept?
Yes.
If not, it was McKevitt on the edge of the circle. Both of them, I think, were in the fourth quarters.
Wow.
Okay. There was tips galore, but no clean intercepts. The first super shot was Elle Cardwell. Come on. That was me. You'd said Lois Pearson. The last goal was Sophie Fawns, which you got.
Woohoo.
Well done, Nia. The first advance was Taylor McKevitt, and that was with 9 minutes 50 left in the third quarter. And neither of us got that right. I can't remember.
Apparently, Hallie Adio got an advance, but I don't know if that was when the mic was down. I didn't clock that. And obviously, it's less obvious when they're under the post because it can't advance to anywhere, so it doesn't grab your attention the same way as a mid-court player being advanced. But apparently, she got one.
Well, neither of us said Adio, if that is the case. And the other person that got one was Josie Huckle.
Okay.
For a late takeout of Gracie Smith. But that was after Taylor McKevitt. And the winner was Manchester Thunder. So, what are the final results? And it is I won.
Well done.
3-2. too. And that is near your own fault because you were way too far ahead and you let me back
But you also
into it.
know the irony is you've won that one based on a centre pass call that you didn't even want involved anyway because it had no logic. So there we are.
That's your fault.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I can tell that you really mean it.
Yeah. And it all means a lot to me, as you can tell.
This is the end of the season. And it's the end of the season for the players. And it's also the end of the season for us. Now, we are not finishing here, but we are going to take a few days off, maybe a week or so. We will be back with a sort of series of non-timely episodes. So we are speaking to the NPA. We're speaking to some men's netball experts. We're hopefully going to have some build up to the Com Games with some representatives from all over the world.
I'm saying it on record now because she has messaged me back. Layla Gusketh is keen to come on. That'd be great to chat to her.
Very exciting. So stay tuned. Make sure you press subscribe wherever you are,
yes,
so
please.
that you get notified. And that would help us also very much. And yeah, we will see you soon.
I'm really passionate about netball.